Now, as I have been recording these videos, one thing I have been forgetting to mention is that it's been kind of rainy outside. It's been kind of cloudy. There's been some stuff to do out there, so I really haven't felt up much to going out there just to kind of do the power carving for you all or demonstrate it. So I've decided we're going to try to kind of do a little other work that we can do inside here and decide that it would be just a good moment. We could kind of like get a little stuff moved out of the way, and I would say that we can start carving on the boots of these African and genuine mahogany Santas. So I will tell you all that the boots are better to do with a knife anyway. If I ever figure out a way to do that with the rotary tool, I might consider trying it. But it is probably best for now that we kind of do things the way we kind of know how to do them. The boots would probably be typically one of the last things you'd carve on a project, but I decide that since we've got so much to get ready for here and so much to say and so much to do, I decided I'd take this moment to try to just do a little bit of a recording where I can be kind of like doing the work into these boots and making it so they're just going to be good amount of work here. And I'd say for the work we got to do in these, they're going to make it so we're going to see how a good Santa shall come out. I've done some of these, and there have been ones I've made out of basswood where when I first started making these, I sort of painted them in all different kinds of colors. Had some of them I might have painted yellow, some of them I might have painted pink, some of them I might have painted blue. They all just kind of had their own ways of showing about us, and I say that this is just a little work we do, I say, and by all we mean, there's just little things we see in all what we do. I say that the work is coming, making its way about us, and finally, you know, we kind of take the steps in different orders just because the schedules might change throughout our times, and so I'd say there's probably going to be another chance to get outside and power carve. With all we do, let me see, I got the boots out right, and as of how we're working about this stuff, make it so we all see a little brighter image in ourselves, and all we're trying to do here, make it so we're brightening a little easy work in us to see how this is all going to be like a lot of work we have, I say, like a lot of work we do is just the easy way to go about things, making it so we get all about it, and then finally, we're going to make it so the tops of these boots are going to be rounded off here. I'd like to tell you all little stories about things while I carve. You know, as we get ready for the shows to come up, there's so much to say and do. I like to share how good things come to those of us who wait so patiently for it. And, you know, there's just a lot of ways the internet can be the kind of mess it can be. I'd say for this, we're going to carve things away. Try to get the best out of it. Make it so we just kind of like, see a little ways about the things we're doing each day. I come along to tell you all that this little pair of boots is like that one that Nancy Sinatra and Billy Ray Cyrus always sing about. The boots that are made for walking, and that's just what they'll do. One of these days they'll walk all over you. I say, there's just little things where we just got one with African mahogany. Now there's going to be these boots we're going to work on for one with genuine mahogany, and oh, this makes me think of all the woods you can get at the woodcraft store, and there's a certain young lady who works there now. I knew her from the Kroger pharmacy for years, how I'd go down there to pick up my medicine, and currently she's working there. And I mean, I'd say, knowing her, not the type of person who needs a lot of stress in their life, could see how the pharmacy just got to be a little too much stress for her, and she kind of came along to the woodcraft and seemed to be doing so much good there. You know, there are things in life that stress us to different degrees. I have felt it good for me to stay inside these last few nights of my life, because I think there just could be little weather conditions that make it so, for me, it just may not be the safest thing that I go outside. So it's just, I'd say my own yard isn't all that bad, but as for anything else, I say, you know, I kind of went out this afternoon just to go to a grocery store and get a few things I needed, and took care of that little thing there while I was out and about to do it. So we got that in a good little sense taken care of the best we could. I say for all the work that shall come along, this Santa Claus shall be a little thing. I remember all the times, you know, how there was a little jukebox in a little tavern that I listened to one time, and got introduced to a certain old album of Elmo and Patsy from back in 1984. Had the older version of Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer on it, and then there was a little song on there about Dear Senior Santa Claus, and said something about an old senorita in it too. That was kind of like how got introduced to a lot of good things. And when I first ordered that CD and listened to it a few times, it was around the same year in my life of that same summer that I went online and purchased that Civet coffee stuff that I tried. I mean, most people don't know what civet coffee is. It tasted good to me when I tried it, but it was a little too expensive to be having as my everyday coffee. Ordered some off of eBay a few years back, but if you want to know the story about it, the palm civet is what they get it off of, and the palm civet eats the berries off the coffee bush. They defecate the beans. They take the beans out of the palm civet's droppings and make that into coffee. That's how that works. I tell you, I tell people about it one day. I told my dentist about it, and he said, no civet coffee for me. I tell y'all that it's kind of strange. So many people, I say, wouldn't want it if they knew what it was. But there's just a lot of interesting little things to learn about how you do that stuff. I say that there's been so much I've learned on the internet lately. Some of it, I tell you, could just be gossip, could just be rumors about the governments of some states. Some of it, I have to say, I don't even know if it's true or not. Might just be what somebody's getting on there and saying, just kind of getting on there and gossiping. And you know, you think about what the book of James says about the tongue, how it can be quite a deadly poison, how a tongue is something you just cannot tame, and how that the tongue is kind of like a little spark for the whole body that sets the whole body on fire, just like one little spark of a fire can burn up a whole tree. There, I say, we kind of got the boots done into this one. And I'd say, for all we know, there's just a little bit of time we can take. Somebody once commented to me saying that carving with your hands is such a skill. I'd say probably for some of us it is. My hands are strong on many accounts. I could tell you about the strength of my hands because when I volunteered in a wildlife center, I could never be gentle enough to feed those baby raccoons and give them their bottles. You know, kind of ended up giving up on doing that part of the job and just kind of washing and folding clothes and stuff like that to try to take care of things. So problem was you kind of had to make a little OK symbol around their nostril and kind of cover their eyes and to sort of get the nipple on their mouth and establish it there, and couldn't be gentle enough. I kind of had too much my hand on the back of their head trying to hold them still enough. I was just always a little more high strung and trying to do the job and not get bit. Never liked being bit by those things, so would avoid it as much as I could, but I've heard what a struggle it was and worked with some people in there who said it really wasn't all that fun. So I tell you, all the work I get to do, you know, I can't really be all that much direct with things, and I think we're going to try to take care of a little bit more, chipping along on a couple more pairs of boots here, and we're going to go to one more African mahogany one of these and one more mahogany one. But I think this time around we'll just do the backs of the boots and kind of leave all the curves in the fronts for later, because I try not to make a video too long or put too much into it, and so I'd say with this little work we have coming along here, we make it so it's going to be a little ways here. You can almost kind of see a little Santa Claus in cowboy boots sometimes. I've seen little Santa Clauses with cowboy hats in life. I have a little book on how to carve different kinds of athletic Santas. Haven't tried too many of those just yet, but you ever look in Cindy Jocelyn Carhart's book, Carving Santas from Around the World, you'll know some interesting things in there. There's a little cosmic Santa that is like an out of this world Santa, and one time I carved my own version out of those. I carved it out of a pine log and painted it with a little solar system little suit and on the coat, and I tell you the truth, I say, you know, a lady bought it from me at a certain show where I had it out at. Had a little Grandfather Frost one that was riding on the back of a bear. I've seen little Grandfather Frost that rode on horses and things. There's a lady named Lindy Evans in Berea, Kentucky, who she makes these little polymer clay Santas of all different kinds with all different kinds of themes. One of the ones she had was a little safari Santa that was on the back of an elephant. And one time when I was in Berea, I bought that one and still have it somewhere in my bedroom where it's safe. And you know, there's little Santa Clauses I have that I'll keep up year round. Little Christmas decorations I have that I'll keep up year round. And I say that there's little things I have sometimes, just sometimes. There's little things I make sentiment of. I mean, I'm friends with a lady who haven't seen her in person in a while, but we used to go to church together. I would make her all kinds of wooden figurines that I'd give her as gifts because she was so sweet. And you know, and around Christmas time she'd make a lot of her baked treats for me. She wasn't a sewer like my mom was, so she couldn't really sew, but she bought me a little Santa Claus stocking from the Dollar Tree that in which she put a lot of the fancy treats that she made for me. And I tell y'all, I really loved that thing. You know, she didn't make it, she bought it, but I tell you, that little stocking, it was so sweet that it's just a little sentiment of me. And I tell y'all something, people, she gives good hugs. I tell you, I've written articles about her, had a lot of good to say, you know, and there's times in our lives when we're careful what we do, sometimes don't want to give somebody too much public praise, because I tell you, you know, you want to hope that they treat everybody as nice as they treat you, and so you don't want to give anybody too much public praise just for who they are, what they do. Try to consider who they are to everybody. Try to consider what they are to everybody. I think this time around, maybe we might kind of do a little more work in these boots. Try to work on the little front parts of them. Try to shave the little lines along. Make it so they're going to be a little curvy in the long run. Make them so we're going to see a little light in them. Make them so they're going to brighten us up and tell us all little fancy little times and tales and stories we know. I say that, oh, a little work does a little ways. And in this life, I say, we got a lot of ways to go, a lot of things to do. Times in our lives we shave away all the burns on the wood, try to get rid of it all. I mean, I tell you all, one time I had a friend post a tweet about how she'd like to be on her little farm whittling sticks, and I told her that would probably be a good thing. I say if I ever came over and did that with you, I'd probably even whittle little faces into the sticks and maybe even show you how to do it. She sure liked the tweet, I'd say that. And so it's all just the things where we see how good a little life is to us. You know, sometimes the big projects kind of require taking on extra work. You might even try making some bigger things, some more expensive things. I tell y'all something, people, that to make a living off of carving is hard. Most people I know who do it, they have to work other jobs. Some of them are like retired people, and they're kind of making their money off of their pensions. And I'd say that there's a little ways to go about the works that we do and see how we can light a little paths in us, try to come along, make it so we see, and try to put, what I'm going to do now is kind of cut along the curves of these boots. There's a little work that's going to have to wait a while to come along, but we're going to get around to that eventually. It takes it a little time to adjust to where it goes and to where it needs to be. So as for this work, we just kind of got to where we're working our way along this and finally get down to the very last point we need. Get down where the work is going to make its way up, see a lot to us, show a lot for us. The little work is done in these little ways to make these Santas quick and short and sweet. So I'd say this is as far as we're going to go for this video. Might do some stuff in between. Maybe have it nice enough outside to go back out and power carve by the time we get around to making the next one. Thanks for watching.